Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
What's up, everybody? Kevin Jackson here. It's a Kevin Jackson Show. We have terror in New York City. No, I'm not talking about Hillary Clinton mooning somebody going down Fifth Avenue. I'm talking about Allahu Akbar terror in New York City. Leftist, you should be ashamed of your doggone selves. See, we knew this was going to happen. This is what Donald Trump tried to prevent. This is what the conservative movement tried to prevent. This is what many Americans have tried to prevent. 6 people lost their lives. Why? Because of leftism. And I heard Shepard Smith say yesterday, well, look at the mayor of New York. He says, we're not going to let somebody in a truck change the way we live. Really? Hey, here's what I can tell you. New Yorkers, leftists, Obama lovers, the people who want terrorists to come into our midst, if we were not dealing with a Barack Obama, we wouldn't have had this attack. We wouldn't have had the Pulse nightclub attack. We wouldn't have had the San Bernardino attack. We wouldn't have had all the other people who've tried to attack us. We would be a safe country. While we speak, Saudi Arabia is pouring billions of dollars into this country, and mosques are being built faster than churches. And the left wants it. They want us to assimilate. I can tell you right now, I have an acquaintance who's a Coptic Christian, came to the United States in 1974, said he left religious prosecution in Egypt in 1974. He has seen what the Muslim Brotherhood is doing. They don't want to assimilate. Thankfully, he tells me, Azizi in Egypt is saying, we're not letting the Muslim Brotherhood get a foothold. They are stomping out Islam in Egypt. Meanwhile, we've got leftists that want to bring it in. And let me explain what it's like, folks. This is leftists who know what's going on. This is the Harvey Weinstein of religions. This is the Kevin Spacey of religion, where everybody knows what's happening, and yet they do nothing. It was funny, was I was watching some of this coverage of this breaking news, which got me kicked off of Fox Business yesterday and Tucker Carlson. I'm watching the breaking news happen, and I'm thinking to myself, you know, what can leftists possibly be thinking about this? Yet another terror attack by vehicle. And then the guys jump out of the cars. They've got guns. How'd they get those in New York? Supposed to be one of the safest cities in the country. And then I start thinking about the proliferation of all of this terror all over the world. By the way, this is an attack that, is a legacy of Barack Obama for sure, right? We can certainly credit him for this because Donald Trump has been trying to put a stop to this. I look around the globe at the number of terror attacks that are going on. We don't even talk about them. The left want us to pretend that we don't see what we see. They want us to pretend that Muslims are going to assimilate. It's like my friend who's an American citizen now, lived 21 years in Chicago, 22 years in the Phoenix area, came over here and went to college in America and left in 74. He's about 65 years old now. And he says, if you don't like this country, if you don't want to adjust to the rules of American society, get the heck out. And here's a guy who understands it from the inside, and leftists won't even pay attention to him. So we've got an attack. Another attack on American soil. In the most liberal city in the world. Why would the Muslims attack somebody in New York where de Blasio is essentially saying, come on in? Let me tell you why. Because de Blasio is essentially saying, come on in. They came in, they conquered. It had been left up to George Bush and a bunch of the other leftists, there'd be a mosque standing on the site built on the site of 9/11. Donald Trump opposed it, and rightfully so. 6 people have lost their lives. Untold number of others have been wounded yet again. Why? Because of radical Islam. Allahu Akbar. Hey, Democrats, if you're looking for a new message, I've got one for you. How about you try Allahu Akbar? Because that's your message. Whether you're calling it refugee resettlement, whether you're calling it Dream Act, DACA, give it whatever name you want. Every time you bring in somebody who has not agreed to be a part of our culture and uses some ruse to get here. Oh, my mom and daddy brought me here. Oh, my religion. You don't like me because of my religion. Barack Obama was denying Christians from Middle Eastern countries into America while ushering in radical Islam, and you have seen the outcome. The outcome just happened in New York, and it'll happen elsewhere. The only thing that's stopping most of this right now is you. It's that Second Amendment, knowing you're armed. Hey, by the way, New Yorkers, just for shiggles, you think that things could have turned out different if somebody maybe were armed? And for those who want to do gun control, I don't know yet. I don't have all the details. I don't believe anybody was shot. But I do know a lot of people died when they got ran over by that Home Depot car, that rental car. I ain't exactly going to be good press for Home Depot. Hey, Home Depot, you might want to make sure that people that have an Islamic name go through another kind of a background check. I'm just saying, leftists like to give background checks. And when you're renting a vehicle, particularly something that's got it can do 2 tons or more, carry 2 tons or more, I would suggest you look at the origin, the ethnic origin of the people. I'm not telling you the profile. I'm just saying. How pathetic is this? Really hacks me off. Because leftists know this. The same way they know about Weinstein, same way they knew about Kevin Spacey and John Kerry. The same way they knew about Barack Obama being worthless. A piece of excrement is what this man is, and he's endangered the lives of Americans.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful 4-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville, can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.
Jackson Radio Show.
I was thinking about the world of leftist delusion. Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show, KJRadio.com. In my book, Race Pimping, which you can get at racepimping.com, you can see all of the delusions of the left in a strange sort of way, how they rationalize things. All that matters is, does it have an R after it or a D after it, Republican or Democrat? Who said it? Was it Barack Obama or was it Donald Trump? It's as simple as that. Was it Hillary Clinton or was it Sarah Palin? Well, it truly hinges on something that precarious. They can change their point of view instantaneously. And it's funny to me to watch this world of leftist delusion. That's the only way they can sleep good at night, is to know that when they wake up, they can be whatever deluded thing they decide they want to be. If they suddenly, got drunk and had, if they're a guy and found themselves waking up next to another man, they can proclaim that, no, I have 15 different degrees of sexuality or whatever. They can rationalize whatever. They don't say, you know what, I'm gay, or I happen to have a moment of there's none of that. They rationalize it. No, this is good. Whatever I did, it was good. It happened in the moment. I enjoyed it. I didn't enjoy. There no regrets. By the way, just to be clear, they have all the regrets. They do. They're mad about it. But what they do then is, in order to get it right with themselves, they say, well, here's the reason why I can say I did this. It's just the truth. And once they do that, then they've now altered reality. And it's funny because, as a person who tries my best to just play it by the book, I'll give an example. If I went out one night partying and woke up next to a naked dude, I would be thinking to myself, what the heck just happened here? And I'd end up in therapy. I wouldn't rationalize it and go, that was fun. I figured out that I'm gay or whatever. I would be like, what did somebody put something in my drink? How did I lose my sensibilities to that level? I would be in years of therapy. I wouldn't go, well, I guess I'm gay, and go out and start looking for Rico again. Hey, excuse me, have you seen this man? I wouldn't be asking a dude for his phone number. You get what I'm saying? And I couldn't even imagine that scenario, because that's why I tell everybody that's ever known me, and most people have ever hung out with me know I don't overdrink. I'll get a couple of drinks, and then as soon as I can't feel my skin, I'm like, okay, I don't even get to there. I've had twice in my life, I've been drunk. And I didn't like it either time. It was years ago. And it was, I would tell my kids, don't even waste that day. The headache, and the thing about it, I did one time, it was for business. The other time it sneaked up on me because I was hanging out with one of my buddies who's a pretty big star. And everywhere we went, people kept just setting up drinks for us at bars. And we were drinking so fast. He'd sing a song, we'd go to another bar, sing a song, we'd go to another bar. And they kept setting up drinks for us. And we were doing shots, and they were, nice and tasty little shots. They weren't like tequila. It was like, buttery nipple. And so I'm drinking these very tasty little sweet drink shots. And next thing I knew, it was like, whoa, what hammer fell and hit me on the head? So that was the first time. Had to go to a celebrity golf event the next day that I missed. It was bad. And then the second time, I was in Vegas and I was trying to pick up product lines for my company. Literally, I was trying to save my company because we were going to go under without me going there to do this trip. I had 103 fever. I'll never forget it. My partner goes, "Are you sure you can go?" And I looked at her and went, "Are you going to go?" She knew nothing about the products. And she said, looked at me like, "I'm so sorry." And I went, "It's okay." I wasn't like putting her on the spot. It was just one of those things of, what are we going to do? I got to go. So I jump on a plane with 103 fever. I tried to break my fever. I had blankets, wore sweats and all that. Got to my room and just chilled out, pardon the pun. And we picked up those product lines and we became successful after that. But yeah, I want to go back to this delusion. There's a world of delusion that the left live in, and they wake up to it every day, and then they modify their world to fit the delusion. They change who they are. A week in rehab will do it, right, Harvey? Let me ask you this. Would you change who you are based on a mistake? Would you change who you are? Would you, using the scenario of you're a woman, you're out, you're partying, you know you're a heterosexual woman, but somehow you end up waking up next to, some butt naked lady, and you're a lady, and she says, oh my gosh, we had such a wonderful time last night. Do you suddenly go, oh my gosh, I'm now a lesbian? No. You say to yourself, holy crap, what did I do in my life that led me to this circumstance that I would never put myself in my sane mind? You don't go, well, geez, I guess maybe the leftists were right. I was hiding my inner lesbian or whatever. You don't do that. You soul search as to who you are at your core, and you fix it. It's a simple question. Would you change who you are to fit your circumstances? It's not what I was going to talk about today, but I think it's a good question. Would you change who you are to fit your circumstances? And the answer should be an emphatic no. You were raised a particular way. Look, I tell people all the time, this is a tough business that we do in radio and TV and media. Let me tell you why. Because if I'm going to research, for example, pedophilia, I have to understand why some dude or woman has an interest in children. And you've got to put yourself in that frame of mind. Like, what? I see a 10-year-old boy or girl, and I look at it as like, wow, there's this little kid that's got a future. I don't in any way see a object in a 10-year-old girl. And in fact, I've seen some absolute showstopper teenage girls, and maybe it's a factor of getting older, but you look at those girls, and as beautiful as they are, the first thing on my mind is they look like little girls. I mean, they're stacked. They're beautiful. You can go to high school. You see these girls. They look like they're all trying to, mug for Vogue. But I'm not kidding you. I look at them and I go, wow, they just, as beautiful as they are, they're beautiful little girls to me. And I think to myself, how can you see them as anything other than that? But people do. But here's my point. In order to get into the head of a person that sees that way, you have to say, I'm going to objectify them and see them the way they see them. And in doing that's how you have to, I don't want to say go into character, but in order to write about them and to understand it, that's what you do. But there's no way that I could ever look at those young girls and go, wow, ooh. There's just no way. I would not change my reality to fit what I'm trying to understand about these knuckleheads that feel this way. Got more to talk about.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. Did you have a good Halloween? I didn't ask that the other day. Halloween's you don't really celebrate Halloween, but boy, I gotta tell you, in my neighborhood, it was a big deal. Kids out. All the parents out with candy, and huge. To say it was big is an understatement. It was huge. Every house decorated, elaborate stuff. It's amazing to move from the hood to the suburbs and remember what it was like to be around white people, to have all this white privilege. Man, woo! I just feel like I'm robbing some poor black guy around the world of it, Maybe Umbuku in Africa was supposed to get a little bit of this, and I'm taking it all. But hey, somebody's got to do it. Oh, my goodness. Did you have a good Halloween? What you guys did? Yeah, look at candy. I've got a sugar thing, and I've got to just stop. I just got to go cold turkey. I told you guys I did a diet years ago where not that long ago, probably 4 years ago, where I took all the sugar out of my diet. I felt I could jump through the ceiling. I'm talking about a 10-foot ceiling. I could just, I was like my old self again. It was wonderful. It was a hard diet. I was in bed for 5 days. It was like detoxing off of heroin is what people said. Wouldn't even answer my phone. I'm not kidding. And if you know me, I've got to answer the phone because I've got, all the media and all this other stuff. I would not answer the phone. It was like, forget it. I got up to eat, which I hated, and I used the bathroom. And then I think I took maybe one shower. I didn't even care. Why shower? I was an ogre. But boy, when I got done with it, my skin was beautiful. It was like my grandmother's skin. It was just supple and more. I mean, it was amazing. I would do that diet in a minute. If they told me, Kevin, you're going to be bedridden for 5 days, bring it. Bring it. You're asking, Kevin, why haven't you done it then? I don't know. I'm too busy. When I know that if I were to take a vacation, if they said, Kevin, you got 5 days of vacation and somebody's going to do everything you do in a week, then I would do it. If I had the infrastructure in place to do this, I'd do it in a minute. That's how good it felt. Anyway, Halloween. It's funny. I was shopping for Halloween with my little boy to get his outfit and all that. And I was thinking to myself, it's such a ghoulish thing to do. All the macabre, these masks and they're dead and the ugly teeth and the zombies and all that. And I'm thinking, wow, how do we survive that as kids? How does the left even allow us to continue? Oh, they love death, though. That's true. The left love, the macabre. They love scaring kids, They're going to put the fear in you anyway, right? Donald Trump's the boogeyman. He's a zombie, a Nazi with a chainsaw, right? He wants to cut off your limbs. They sell fingers, like sawed off fingers, and I saw severed heads. You know what I'm surprised I didn't see? I didn't see a Donald Trump severed head. I'm surprised. The Kathy Griffin edition. They had everything. Go to what was like Spirit. I think it was Spirit Halloween is where I took my boy. And so anyway, it's strange. And it's strange how some schools will let you dress in costumes, some won't. It's all over the map with this stuff. I just find it a strange celebration, if you will. What is it? Dia de los Muertos? The Day of the Dead? I don't even know. It's something like that. And is this celebrated all over the world? I don't know. Do we celebrate Halloween all over the world? I don't think so. Because my French daughter, Kelly, I took a picture of some Halloween stuff, and she's like, oh, I'm so jealous, you celebrate Halloween, we don't celebrate. But she's in Vietnam right now. So, anyway, I hope you had a good Halloween. I don't know, is that what you hope for with Halloween? I hope you had a spooky Halloween, a spooktacular Halloween. That's a strange word to use, too, for a black man. I don't know if you guys know this. One of the slang derogatory terms for black people was spook. Did you know that? Yeah, they used to call us spooks. I can only presume that it was because we're dark and you couldn't see us at night. So, if the old white man was out there doing something he shouldn't have been doing behind the barn, we'd walk over, hey, whoa, you spooked me. Couldn't see you. All they could see is the whites of our eyes, as they say. No, we were called spooks. Seriously, it's funny to me because in the sense that you can't say the quote N-word, which I say it all the time. If I wasn't on radio, I'd say it all the time because it has no power to me whatsoever. But you can say spook all day long, and it was a derogatory term. In fact, being blunt, if you were called a spook, it was the equivalent of being called the N-word. When I was growing up, it was the same thing. It didn't make a difference. Now, maybe it wasn't as widely accepted, but there were a few white people that knew that word, knew the derogatory meaning of it too. Oh, well. Hey, I was talking earlier about waking up and knowing who you are and that kind of thing. And I will tell you, the leftists are delusional, and I was talking about the delusion of the left. When they wake up, they don't know who they are. They don't know who they want to be. It's life is going to deal them their cards, and then they go, okay, well, today I'll be this because this happened to me, and I need to reinvent myself. I don't need to reinvent myself. I love it when black folks write to me, you don't know who you are, you race trader, blah, blah, blah. And I go, man, I've known who I was for a lot of years. What a realization to come to the knowledge that you are, when I was younger, a liar and a bunch of other things, and I know why. I don't rationalize, and I know why I did what I did. But I'll tell you this: when you finally get to the point where I don't have to lie to you, I don't have to tell you anything. I don't give a crap enough about you to have to make up something. Either you accept my life or you don't, and I don't care. That's a good feeling to get to, boy. But these leftists, they don't have that. And because they wake up and they distort their being, their entire being, they can't see things that are obvious to them. So you're going, Kevin, where are you going with this? I'll use Manafort as an example. Leftists are exuberant over the Manafort revelation. They believe his indictment marks the beginning of the end. And they're right. But they have the antagonist wrong. In the movies, you have a protagonist and an antagonist. Protagonist is the good guy. Antagonist is the bad guy. The left believe the protagonist of this Manafort situation is Hillary Clinton. They, after all the evidence that connects Hillary Clinton to the Russians, the delusion of the left, they wake up in the morning going, Hillary's good, Trump is bad. They don't even know why. If you were to pin them down and say, explain to me why Trump is bad, they would give you all the reasons that Hillary's bad. If you said, explain to me why Hillary's good, they'd give you all the reasons why Trump is good. It's a delusion. It truly is something that they've now ingrained in themselves. They've twisted their way of thinking to such a degree that you don't even understand it. I'm telling you what people say to me, Kevin, I don't get these people. You don't get them because they live, we talk about it as if it's a joke. They live in bizarro world. It's no joke. They truly live there. They live in a world where things are completely opposite. Hillary Clinton, they see as good. You look at the evidence and you go, what are you talking about? Uranium One, connection. Podesta Group, connection. Tony Podesta steps down, resigns. You can't even find John, right? Fusion GPS. Oh, it was started by the Republicans. Yeah, but it was taken on by Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama in order to create a false dossier. It's been proven to be false. Oh, there's some truth in it. Yeah, they spelled the names right. So it's been proven to be false. It led to all of the things that we are currently dealing with that put the negative spotlight on Donald Trump. That in a year's investigation hasn't netted anything and won't. And there's a direct tie between Hillary, the Russians giving money, Bill Clinton's speech over there for $500,000. Can you imagine if Donald Trump had spoken in Russia and received the $500,000? What they'd be saying? They don't even think about it. So you ask yourself, how do you have such a level of distortion? And I mean, how do you sleep at night? They sleep at night in the comfort of knowing that when they wake up the next morning, they can rationalize whatever delusion they have. You can give them all the information about Hillary Clinton, and they'll go, yeah, but still, Donald Trump grabbed women by the bum, bum, bum. What's it got to do with Russia? Nothing. I just don't like him. Okay, there you go. I may not like Barack Obama. I don't have a problem with Barack Obama. I really didn't. But if his policies worked, I would have supported him. They didn't work. There's a lot more to talk about with this crazy exuberance over Manafort. Back in a bit.
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Well, the morning has been rather interesting. Former campaign manager for the new guy, Paul Manafort, just surrendered to the FBI after getting hit with 12 charges, including conspiracy against the U.S. Are you okay back there?
They're so happy.
You were shocked to hear it, I know. A video that is going viral that some kind of think might be a glimpse of things to come. Take a look.
All right, everybody, welcome back. So they went on, that was a Whoopi Goldberg at The View. I'm Kevin Jackson, by the way. I'm not Whoopi Goldberg. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show, KJRadio.com. So that's Whoopi, exuberant, excited over what's going on with Manafort, and say, take a look. And somebody made a video that it starts out with Bannon getting arrested, then it goes on to Ivanka and Donald Trump himself and others getting arrested and going to jail over the Manafort thing. And there's nothing there. When we were all excited about the potential for Hillary Clinton to go to jail a while back and Barack Obama to have to pay for the sins of what he did in his administration, we had firm things to stand on. There's nothing here. Nothing. The only way you could believe that there's something here is you have to just be a dyed-in-the-wool leftist who is just living on hope. There's nothing. You couldn't be more thorough of investigating Donald Trump than everybody's been. And that's why I keep coming back to the fact that Trump had never questioned Mueller. Get Mueller. Kevin, he's got a bunch of Hillary Clinton people that donated. Fine. There's a judge, the judge that sentenced, that's, I guess, I don't know if it's going to hear the case. She's a Hillary Clinton donor, a Democrat, and a black woman. I mean, you couldn't stack the deck against Manafort anymore. I'm just saying, you couldn't. I mean, maybe if she's married to an illegal or something, yeah, there's just no way to stack the deck. So everything that you could possibly do to say, I'm going after Trump and whoever else has been done, and Donald Trump sitting there, getting a manicure and a pedicure because he doesn't have to worry about it. But the left they're excited. And what's funny, they're excited for his failure. Look, I'll be honest with you. I didn't want Barack Obama to succeed because I knew his ideology couldn't succeed and we flourish as a world, not just as a nation. Leftism doesn't succeed. But I didn't wish for failure. And I know that sounds like I'm splitting hairs, but I'm not. I didn't wish for failure. I wished for him to be able to vet out whatever he thought was going to work with the knowledge that it was going to fail. And secretly, maybe not so secretly, being happy that it did. But not happy in the sense of like, yeah, he failed, he's a sucker. Not that. In the sense that we could not let his ideology is a failure. It's okay. Let me put it in a different way. Sometimes you let your kids fail because you go, they have to learn a lesson. That's the failure. That's the emotion I'm trying to get to. And you have to do that because there's no other way for them to learn. And so when I look back on the election of Barack Obama, I say to myself, this is exactly what we were sort of looking at as conservatives. We were like, oh, God, you know, it was the worst thing that could have happened. But when you really think about it, it turned out to be the best thing that could have happened for us. It was one of these deals where God said, you know, look, I know you don't think I know you are very disheartened that a rookie is going to lead this nation, and he's a charlatan, he's a fake, he's a total fraud, snake oil salesman. But I have a bigger plan. And so the first 4 years, the first year, Barack Obama could do nothing wrong. Remember, he got the Nobel Peace Prize. He was a rock star. Every year after that, practically, it was a downward exponential curve of what people really believed about him. The only thing that kept people with hope with respect to the change we can believe in is the fact that they did not want Barack Obama to be perceived as a failure. Black people didn't want it. Leftism couldn't handle it because it was supposed to be the best thing. How else do you allow a man to torpedo your party where you lose the majority of governorships, you lose the majority of state houses? States that now have Republican governors, houses and senates it's unbelievable. You couldn't want Barack. If you knew that was going to happen, would you elect Barack Obama? And the answer for the left is yes. In the sane world, we'd go, no way. But they did. And even though it went down, they've invested so much in him, they've got to stick with him. And we've talked about this, but it bears repeating, that they finally said, look, we just got to bear with it. It's going to mean something, good for us. And what did it mean? Where did it lead? What did the good Lord in his wisdom see by letting this man have 2 terms in office? The second one that practically drove a stake through the heart of conservatism. People just practically went mental, shut down. I just can't do it anymore, Kevin. I mean, I can't tell you how many people I talked to like that. They checked out. And then what happened? Donald Trump hit the scene. Politics changed. And suddenly, there's an exuberance on the right. We're finally feeling like there's somebody that's going to represent us. Look at all that's happened so far. Flake and what's the other guy? Corm or whatever, the other senator. Both of these guys have checked out because they were going to lose. They weren't going to get reelected. Trump was going to make sure of it. Bannon was going to make sure of it. You were going to make sure of it. And there are others. McConnell will get a challenger. Paul Ryan will get a challenger eventually. I'm telling you right now, politics has changed. And suddenly, you're represented. Suddenly, you know what? You can talk about being a Christian and not feel guilty about it. You've effectively pushed back Muslim and Islam in the country and around the world back to, I don't know what period, but you pushed it back because it was flourishing. It was being embraced. It was being ushered in. Capitalism is being looked at very differently now in ways that you probably never imagined, based on the NFL, etc. Hollywood being looked at differently. Sports. Should these be our idols? I talked about this the other day. Should these athletes be the idols of your children? The answer is no. My son, I'll tell you, I've told the story. He got a jersey for Stephen Curry. I told him Stephen Curry doesn't want to go to the president, to the White House as a championship, part of his championship team. And my third son gave his younger brother that jersey that he wanted. When I told him that, I told you guys a story. My youngest son says, Dad, should I call Corey and tell him I want to burn this shirt? I said, no, let's not burn it. But he doesn't wear it. So here's what I'm trying to tell you. He's not idolizing these guys any longer. Well, I shouldn't say he idolizes their talent, but he does not idolize their mentality. That's a big deal. LeBron James was one of his favorite players. And he heard me say, LeBron James is a talented young man, but he's misguided in his mentality. And that, therefore, I rebuke him. Satan, I rebuke thee. And so my son does not like LeBron James. So who does he idolize? Me. That's who he should idolize. And I should do what I need to do to make sure that remains. That's what I'm talking about. Anyway, the left, they see this Manafort thing, and they don't see how things are going to play out. They can't look at things objectively. You know, the NFL is a good example. They can't look at how the NFL is taking these young black kids. These are kids, 22, 23 years old. Get them into a system, let them ruin a company, and not see the long-term impact of what that's going to do. See, I see it. I see an NFL where guys are making decisions about players, not just on ability, but on, is it going to disrupt my business? And unless Jay-Z is going to be the next NFL owner and he's going to go out and hire these guys and put his money where his mouth is, then these guys aren't going to have jobs soon. And it doesn't matter what's going on with the product. If you are going to do the things that they're doing, you're going to ruin the product. But the left doesn't see that, and they don't care what the future is for these young black multimillionaires, nor do they care about the impact that what these guys are doing will have on the black community at large. These guys create the Gabrielle Unions, who I talked about yesterday.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
4 killed, 24 wounded in Chicago over the weekend. I used to come out every Monday and we would talk about those stats. We're now midweek and I'm just mentioning it. We've had many other things that I wouldn't say are more important, but that obviously are newsworthy as well. The Manafort stuff happened, and then there's been the fallout from that and the exuberance of the left and the idea that Manafort is going to be the straw that broke the camel's back for Donald Trump, when in fact Manafort's going to be the straw that broke the camel's back for Hillary Clinton. And I know many of you are questioning, is Hillary Clinton going to, and others, is justice finally going to be served? Rest assured, it will be. It will be. I believe everything that happened over the past 9 years has led to this moment. And you're going to remember where you were when Hillary Clinton gets an indictment, and Bill Clinton and Chelsea and Barack Obama and Susan Rice and Eric Holder and Loretta Lynch and many others. You're going to remember each and every time. And it's going to happen a lot. And it's going to put a stake in the heart of leftism. And that's been needed for a while. Leftism is draconian, to say the least. And it's needed a stake through the heart. So that time's coming. And the reason why I keep telling you this is not to make you feel good. It's because it is coming, and it's time that it comes, because it's right. It's righteous. It isn't a wishful thinking on my part. It isn't some bad karma experiment where I'm like, oh, geez, I don't want to put that out there. It'll be bad karma for me. Look, I've experienced karma. Sometimes she's pretty good. Karma works both ways. And karma is going to get the left for what they've been doing. We're not on some witch hunt for Hillary Clinton. Not at all. Would we be talking about Russia if they hadn't brought up the whole Russia thing on Donald Trump? The answer is no. Russia's another country in the world with whom we should be trying to do business or have some sort of a diplomatic relationship. And the left demonized that relationship. They intentionally made it difficult for Donald Trump to work with Putin and the Russians. We haven't had any reasonable meetings with the Russians, with Trump, because of all of the specter of scandal that's been going on, when in fact the biggest scandal is what happened in the previous administration. That's as succinctly as I can make this. But yet the left they continue down this road. They just are troublemakers. Anyway, I want to go back to Chicago. 4 killed, 24 wounded over the weekend. And I keep coming back to this notion of we have a repetitive problem in Chicago that never gets addressed. Rahm Emanuel's been the mayor of that city now for, 6-7 years. It isn't like this is new to him. It's not new to us. And we're constantly talking about it. And it's moving further down the page. Remember, like I said, I used to talk about it on Monday. We're midweek. And I'm bringing it up. And I'm bringing it up for a reason. I'm bringing it up because it points back to all the things that we've talked about. It points back to the NFL. The NFL, there's a graph that shows the number of blacks who've been killed by police officers this year. And you can barely see the little red in the graph. Then it shows and I'm talking about around the country. Then it shows the number of homicides of blacks for the country. And that graph is so tall, it would be the Empire State Building next to a 1-story building, so to speak, right? In terms of the graph. And nobody's saying a word about it. I was watching an episode of 48 Hours. I think that's what it's called. And it's a cop show where they've got 48 hours to find out who did what. And they profiled a young black girl. She was 25 years old. She moved to New Orleans to get her master's degree in social work. And they show her, of course, smiling with her degree and her graduation cap on, etc. And the notion of the show is this girl went to work, and it took her an hour and a half to walk from work to home. I want to say they said it was a 3-mile walk or something. She got off at midnight, and she was generally home by 1:30. I know this because the cops show up at the sister's house of the lady that got killed, and they said, "What time does how does your sister get to work?" And she says she walks. They said, "Does she take the bus?" They said, "No, she walks." And her sister said, the cop said, "Well, when does she normally get home?" And the lady goes, around 1:30. And the woman goes, "Where's my sister?" Like that. And the police tell her, "We have some bad news," and she just starts crying. She knows her sister's dead. But here's the deal. Her sister works at a rehab center for black men getting off of drugs and trying to get back into society. That's where she goes to work. That's why she got her master's degree. She said, "I want to help my community." And she goes to a rehab center. They named it. I don't know the name of it, but it's an icon in the community. She gets off work at midnight and starts her walk home. Now, you and I are already going, "Whoa, wait a minute." Starts her walk home. 3 guys on bikes, pull up to her and do something, and she ends up dead. The description, 3 young black men killed this black woman who's a social worker who wants to help young blacks in the community. And the 2 New Orleans cops who are working on it are both black, and they're sitting there shaking their heads going, how pathetic. How pathetic. This young lady moved from, I forget where, to New Orleans specifically to get her education so that she can help blacks. She could have moved, but she says, "No, I want to do it here in New Orleans," and volunteers at a center that is iconic. It is in a black area. She's going to help young black men go back into society, get off drugs, and that's what she does. And her reward is 3 young black men kill her. And when they did the autopsy on her, she had the DNA of all 3 of them under her fingernails. So she was fighting for her life. And these people want you to believe that Black Lives Matter. These football players kneeling want you to believe they care. They don't even know her name. This is what bothers me about leftism and about these frauds that get down there and take a knee as if they really care. They don't care. They care about pretending to care.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful 4-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville, can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. This is the Kevin Jackson Show. And I got to tell you, that World Series game, we have the numbers. We have the numbers. Sundays, Game 5 of the World Series, the last to be played in Houston, and the second longest on record, trounced the NFL. Early indicators have the Astros 13-12 win, taking the number one spot for prime time, averaging a 12.8 overnight rating among households. That's 16% from the comparable Game 5, 16% off from the comparable Game 5 in 2016, but still the second biggest Game 5 since 2003. Easily ranked as the biggest World Series game of 2017 thus far. We'll find out what last night's game did. I'm sure it had some carryover, but wow, what a barn burner. Second biggest game since 2003. Still the second biggest since 2003. Last year's Game 5, which kept Chicago Cubs in the running for the ultimate historic World Series win, averaged an initial 15.3 households rating and early returns. That number translated to 23.6 million viewers, a series best at that point, and an enviable 6.5, 6.7 rating among adults 18 to 49. Everybody goes for that demographic. By the way, quick congratulations to my buddy Sean Hannity for being number one in TV across all demographics. Way to go, Sean. Let's see. 32% more viewers than the NFL is what they say. As for Sunday Night Football, Pittsburgh-Detroit game had little chance of improving on the previous week's performance from the New England Patriots. The game dropped by a 9.4 overnight rating. That's also down significantly from a comparable weekend a year ago. They said, what's particularly incredible about Sunday's World Series game is the stamina of the audience. Even with the bloated runtime, the game ran 5 hours and 17 minutes, stretching well past midnight on the East Coast. Viewership did not drop off after 12 a.m. People stayed watching. Now, there have probably been some pretty exciting games for the NFL. At least that's what I've heard. I haven't watched any, not a single one, not a down. If I see the NFL, it's because I'm in a restaurant and I'm waiting on food and they got it on or whatever. That's the only time I'll see the NFL. I haven't been to a sports bar. I said if I watched anything, and I haven't, I'd go to a sports bar where my it doesn't register. Nielsen doesn't register. I'm determined I'm not doing anything to promote these fools. But this brings me to what I'm calling the Trump effect, and it spells doom for the NFL and ESPN and how all this is playing together. So if you'll indulge me, I think I'll be able to tie it all back together again. My producers are like, man, well, we're going to continue to talk about the NFL. Yes, we are. And Harvey Weinstein and all of it, because I keep telling you guys, it's all intermixed. People want to separate these things. These are not separate. This is leftism in full bloom, on full display. This is a peacock spreading his big old feathers out there going, yeah, look at me, I'm a leftist. I listened to Joy Reid the other day talk about how could you possibly make a connection between Hillary Clinton, Uranium One, Fusion GPS, and the Russians, and we got all this information on Trump. And now they've got their hopes on a dude named Papadopoulos, who I can promise you nobody knew this guy's name a month ago. None of you knew who Papadopoulos was. You'd have to be a hardcore insider to know who Papadopoulos is. And he wore a wire during the Trump meetings and all. Big deal. It wouldn't matter if Papadopoulos had a movie camera and wires and a full film crew behind the scenes that nobody could see. He has no information significant that's going to make Donald Trump or anybody significant to the Trump campaign, they'll put him in prison. Nothing. But meanwhile, the data that can put Hillary Clinton to prison, they ignore. These people are jubilant with Mueller. Wait till the rest of these indictments start to drop. From Mueller, who, if he wants to maintain any level of bipartisanship, he's got to start going after the Clintons. And, of course, Podesta and those guys. There was a hint. Anyway, I want to talk about the Trump effect because the boogeyman in the room for much of Hollywood has been the way cable TV is priced and marketed. Rush Limbaugh alluded to this a while back when he talked about, I don't know what the official name of it is, but they bundle all these different cable services. So you've got your regular TV channels, and then they bundle HBO and Showtime. They'll give you 2 movie channels, and then they give you 15 other channels that you may not watch. Lifetime, TLC, the Oprah Channel, whatever. So they bundle it. And they put it all together with sports stuff. Like they'll say the NFL package, blah, blah, blah. So you get all these different things, and they try to map it to where it'll capture all your family to some degree. So there'll be Nickelodeon with the Comedy Channel, with the football, with the sports deal, ESPN, yada, yada. And you got all this stuff together, and they sell it as a package. So they say, you can have cable package number 1. And that's like 4 movie channels, blah, 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 all these different things. Then, or you can have the cheaper cable package number 2. Fewer movies, fewer this, but they always give you a lot of the crap. They give you a lot of the crap. And in the old days, you could actually say, I just want HBO for $7.95 or where you go directly. But now they bundle it. And I don't know, Limbaugh did a better job of explaining all that, but they bundle it. And HBO gets their cut, the NFL gets their cut, or ESPN gets their cut, whatever. That's how they do it. And they do the same thing, by the way, in colleges and universities. They bundle your classes. I've talked about this. I'm an engineering guy, right? Engineering, computer science, and math are my degrees. Now, you could say, well, Kevin, you need a couple of business classes. Okay, I'll take those, etc. But why do I have to take this, I took a art appreciation class. I'll never forget it. I have no more appreciation for art after the class than I did before. But I had to learn about art, which is, by the way, a very subjective thing. I had a dealer, an art dealer, tell me one time, he says, Kevin, art is subjective. If you like it, you're willing to put a price on it. If enough people are willing to do that, if you can create a buzz, then you can make it have value. He goes, it has no value, only the perceived value. Interesting point. Had a wine guy tell me, Kevin, there's no such thing of wine and, oh, this one is fruity. And he goes, we got all these different things. But he goes, at the end of the day, it's how you like it. Are you willing to pay $50 for a bottle of wine you like versus $3 for one you don't? Because that's what it boils down to. We are often bundling these choices, folks, that liberals force us to bundle because we wouldn't buy it otherwise.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. We were talking about bundling of services and these different things where they bundle stuff and you get a bunch of things you don't want. But a lot of people do this. It's a marketing technique that works. If you got a bunch of stuff that you really don't care that much about, it's, lost leader type stuff, or not lost leader, because that's stuff that you like, that you're trying to draw people in, but things that you don't care that much about. Let's say it's fruit, and you've got a bunch of apples, but you've got these exotic fruits, and you want to sell the exotic fruits, but you got to get rid of the apples too, because you don't want to keep those. So you bundle it together. You say, hey, get these guavas and get these mangoes and get these kiwi. And, if you buy the kit, you get all that and you get a bunch of apples or pears or oranges. So people go, ooh, that's a much better bargain. So they take them. And there's always one thing that doesn't work. I'll use jelly beans as an example. Jelly beans, if you buy a thing of jelly beans, a bag, I guarantee you there's some licorice jelly beans in there. The black ones. Let's just go on and say it. Don't feel bad. The black jelly bean is the licorice jelly bean, right? So that jelly bean's in there. When you empty the bag, I guarantee you that one is going to be at the end. If you've got a bag that's got 25 cherry, 25 vanilla, 25 blueberry, and 25 licorice, black licorice, your black licorice will be left at the bottom of that bag, period. And that's why they bundle it. They bundle that bag of licorice just like they bundle all these cable shows. Now, you might ask yourself, why does the manufacturer bother to make the licorice knowing that a bunch of them are going to be left at the bottom of the bag? Because some weirdo actually likes them. They're making them, let's say 2% of the population likes black licorice. They won't just sell the black licorice because they can't make enough of a run to make it worthwhile. They'd have to sell that one at a much higher price. So in order to sell it cheaper, to satisfy a very small minority of people, the manufacturers will bundle it in. They'll make a bunch of them and they bundle it in with the rest of these others that can be sold individually. They could be sold cheaper. They make more profit on the ones people like, but they don't want to not make something for the small percentage of people that like licorice jelly beans. So I liken this to some of the strange channels like the Logo channel. It's a channel for lesbians. All right? And I have nothing against lesbians, but I don't understand why they need their own channel. It's like, if you watch a love story, is the love story any less poignant to you if it doesn't involve lesbians? I can watch a love story between white people and I don't go, wow, if only they'd been black, it would have meant more to me. If I watched a love story between two women, for whatever reason, if it were written well, I'd go, wow, they really loved each other. Okay? It has nothing to do with that, but they got the Logo channel. And the reason why I know this is because it's bundled with my cable package. Now, I'll ask you this. I know I'm going out on a limb, but do you think I really give a crap about the Logo channel or anybody in my family or any of us teetering on the concept of maybe becoming lesbians? I'm already a double lesbian. Why would I want to watch the Logo channel? So anyway, that's how they do it. Rolling Stone opined on this, and they said there's a direct correlation between the sheer number of outlets in 2017 and the willingness for companies to let creative types travel to the outer limits in order to stand out. As Daniel Feinberg, TV critic for The Hollywood Reporter, notes, streaming and the overall expanded marketplace for scripted television have created something of an arms race when it comes to securing the talents of a handful of hot showrunners or creative talents. And in the process of attempting to secure these writer-producers, who are also increasingly directors, it's necessary to give them the keys to the car. We're seeing an awful lot of free reign. And these shows are how the Noah Hawleys and Damon Lindelofs and David Lynches manifest freedom. So I don't know who those people are except for David Lynch. And apparently these are some of these guys that are the creative types. And these are the ones that people are saying, man, they're giving free reign. These guys are going to town over all this stuff. Maybe so. They go on to say this: thanks to the premium cable channels and original content providers like Netflix, the traditional restraints of network TV have become outdated, and a model for what's considered a success on TV has changed. The latter's ability to help unique shows like the OA and Sense8 find receptive audiences has rippled through their competition. Now everyone wants to be the network channel service that gets the hot new show everyone's talking about. Streaming services don't need to worry about ratings. Netflix does not make its viewer numbers for the shows public so long as subscribers keep coming in, while cable networks are taking into account time-shifted viewing more and more. Couple that with less concern about low numbers even from ad-supported TV, and Hawley equates it to having a lot more rope with which to hang ourselves. And with the proliferation of channels comes the proliferation of content. The 24/7 news cycle networks scramble to fill. It's not even a news cycle, it's a cycle. Because it's not about news, it's about what can I put in there to keep you coming back to my channel. And this is the case with ESPN. And I remember watching Dodgeball, Dodge, Duck, Dip, Dodge, and Dodge. And they lampooned ESPN. And the writers, when they talked about ESPN 8, the Ocho, they've always been able to experiment with various, crazy sports programs, like the X Games. And I'm sure there are lots of kids that watch that. My son is now starting to get into this skating thing, the not the skateboard, but the scooter. And he's probably going to soon start watching X Games. But is it really enough of a sport to say let's dedicate a channel to this? There's a quip that's in the movie Dodgeball. It says, if it's almost a sport, we've got it here on ESPN the Ocho, which I find rather funny. So in an effort to placate all of the sports fanatics, ESPN's gone overboard. And their deal with the NFL may be the straw that broke the camel's back. But before I get to that, let me explain what I'm talking about. ESPN can indulge curling and badminton and ping pong and a host of other shows because they're bundled. They're bundled as part of the package, of a cable package. And they say, well, look, we've got, I don't know how many channels, but they got a bunch. ESPN 1, 2, 3, 4. So they say, we'll give you 1 and 2, but you got to take 4 or 3 and 4. If you want this or that. And they've been using the NFL for leverage with that because the NFL has been a big deal. They enter into a big contract with the NFL for billions of dollars, and then they market that to the cable companies to say, hey, we've got the NFL. We're the NFL. I think they've got ESPN's got Monday Night Football, and they've also got a few games. So, in the NFL, up to this point, has been able to say, yeah, we're going to give you a good product. And that's, everybody's been happy up to this point. Decent games, good competition, league is in balance and whatever else. Here's the product. And suddenly things are not where they used to be. So here's what one of the outlets said about them. It's not outlandish to entertain a previously unthinkable prospect. Might ESPN elect to go without the NFL games, without rights to the NFL games? In the span of less than 5 years, industry giant ESPN has seen its narrative transform from that of a mighty colossus into a hard-luck tale of a ragtag warrior. As it struggles to regain heretofore heroic heights, levels of growth that are probably no longer attainable, ESPN has had to endure a slew of significant workforce layoffs, more reportedly on the way, and a once doting Wall Street that has turned a skeptically cold shoulder. I'll get it out. Astonishing increases in earnings, previously viewed as fait accompli, now seem like fantasies from another world thanks to the now familiar combo of cord cutting and burgeoning rights fees. So that's the beginning of this. With so much of ESPN's universe asunder, it's not outlandish now to entertain previously the unthinkable prospect. Might ESPN elect to go without rights to the NFL games after the expiration of its 8-year deal for Monday Night Football in 2021? Impossible? Yeah, we know. NFL games have been the backbone of ESPN's existence since 1987 and the biggest, most critical element of its financial dominance ever since. The network basically can't exist without an NFL rights package. So can ESPN survive without the NFL? We'll see. But there's a bigger picture here that I want to get into. And it involves Donald Trump. It involves the changing atmosphere of lots of things that we need to be taking a look at as conservatives. I've already hinted to it. I've alluded to it. I'm going to tell you exactly what it is here in a bit. Don't go nowhere. You'll miss it.
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. KJRadio.com, 844-551-8255. Hey, real quickly, before we get back into this ESPN thing, Tim Wilkins is engaged, and I got my invitation to Tim's wedding. And I told you guys Tim's been a little busy planning some stuff. He's opened up a business and a lot of different things. That's why he hasn't been on. Blake's trying to get a TV show done. So we will have these guys back, but I wanted to share that with you that Tim got engaged. Is getting married. By the way, congratulations to my oldest son who just got engaged. He got engaged the day after his birthday and called us up and let us know that he and his now fiance are planning their wedding. So I'm proud of that. Who knows? I may be a grandpa soon. Holy cow. So I was talking about the NFL and how they put they bundle, the ESPN bundles all their stuff for cable, and that's how they've been able to be successful. And unfortunately, things are changing in that marketplace. And I likened it to the licorice jelly beans that are left at the end of the bag all the time because nobody wants those. And the manufacturer goes, well, we have to satisfy a very small number of people. And that's leftism. It says, we got to satisfy everybody, so we'll make licorice because there are a few people that like it, and the rest of you people can pay for it. You'll finance the licorice. And so that's how cables worked. That's how education works, where the classes you actually want to take, like business or engineering or math or whatever, finance, all the crap classes that end up getting the majority of the money. That's why who would go to school, I mean, is a degree, except in today's time, to get a degree in social justice or diversity training or, things like that, women's studies. Those schools could not exist on their own. Flatly, they couldn't. Most of the TV shows you watch couldn't exist on their own if they had to compete in a free marketplace. But liberalism has let all this craziness expand. If you want to know why there's a channel to teach you how to pick lint out of your navel, I'll promise you it's because of leftism. So this guy's talking about ESPN coming to the conclusion that, you know what? We may not need the NFL any longer in order to get our deal with cable, but they did something really slick, and he gave 2 points about it. He says, first, quietly, ESPN is being able to pull off a dramatic judo move in recent agreements with its affiliates, one whose importance cannot be overstated. There is no longer specific contract language that requires the cable giant to have NFL games in order to earn its lofty and industry-envied subscriber fees, currently more than $7 per household. This means the network would not face automatic decreases in its vital artery of its dual revenue stream. Sure, distributors would be aghast, demanding to negotiate lower fees, probably immediately. But the point is, there would be no negotiations enabling ESPN to do everything it could to keep those numbers as high as possible. So they said, and rightfully so, they said, you're getting ESPN, and it's not predicated on our deal with the NFL. So that was the first thing. Second, when ESPN agreed to pay $15.2 billion for its current Monday Night Football deal, some of its key executives believed they were buying the schedule of the previous Monday Night Football package, more often than not the best game or at least one of the top games of the week. But Sunday Night Football got that pedigree, and Fox and CBS games since then have also generally been more desirable than ESPN's matchups. With the advent of Thursday Night Football several years ago, ESPN's Monday night schedule has been further diluted of quality matchups, and the network hasn't been shy about voicing dissatisfaction. Now, that goes back to what I told you guys a while back, where it said, is the NFL oversaturated with games, and is that why they're suffering? Well, possibly. That's certainly one of the reasons if I were a management consultant dealing with the NFL, I'd say, yeah, you got too many games. Sometimes you got to pull the product back in order to have people wanting it. But that's not the reason why they're suffering most now has to do with two factors, one of which is the Donald Trump factor of the anthem guys, and the second of which is the Donald Trump factor, which is an invisible one that Trump doesn't really know he did necessarily. So I'll get to that in a second. The NFL is no longer the draw that it once was. Television has evolved from an old model, and it's about to evolve even more dramatically. I mean, we look at it, the evolution of television, and we say, well, it moved from regular TV, network TV, to cable. And even cable was very limited. Now, cable, because of the way they do this, collective bargaining and they bring out these other shows, has proliferated to the point where there's far too many channels for you to determine what it is you want to watch. And I'm talking about normal stuff, like National Geographic, History, Weather Channel, whatever. I mean, if you had told me I would watch the Weather Channel and be enthralled, I would have been like, you're crazy. Or if I would watch a History Channel, I would have been like, man, I didn't like history in school. I watch both of those channels like, look at those tornadoes, look at those cyclones, look at those mudslides. I mean, weather is fascinating. You don't know it until you watch the Weather Channel. So anyway, you got all these channels proliferating, and they want 24/7 like everybody else. So there's that angle. Now, if ESPN and the NFL don't figure this out, they're going to be defunct. They're going to be like Unisys. They're going to be gone. Burroughs. You remember that company? And as for President Trump, he accidentally brought to light things about ESPN and the NFL that ESPN already foresaw. They already saw that the game is changing with the NFL, that's not going to be the draw any longer. They're going to have to figure out a whole new paradigm that's going to cater to not when the NFL wants to put their game on, but to when people want to watch it, and other things that are going to interfere with that. Business, folks, capitalism is under attack. Leftism has been eating away at their business daily. Now, ESPN's enjoyed this for quite some time, but leftism is killing it. Leftism is killing the biggest golden goose that ESPN has had. Now, I'll put it this way. If the Kaepernick doesn't take a knee, are they still going to have to make changes? Yes. They could make them slowly, and they could figure out what they want to do. They're going to be forced into making a change that they did not want to make. Okay? What President Trump seems to have an uncanny knack of doing is revealing the dirty truth behind things. See, I go back to how cable started bundling years ago. That was the proliferation of leftism. And what you're seeing now, I don't know if you guys have seen this commercial. Have you seen this one? There are guys that say you can build your TV that you want to watch, and we'll charge you $20 a month. So these are the guys going to the NFL, ESPN, HBO, the movie channel, whatever. They're going to all these different things that you watch, and they're saying, look, we have a client for you. If you'll let us take your services, we'll pay you X amount of dollars for this client, and we'll keep a percentage. So let's say they keep $2 out of every client. $18 goes to all these other people. They make $2, and they end up with 40 million clients who do say, I want it by the drink. I don't want what these guys, I don't need all the channels. Look at the number of channels you have on your cable TV and ask yourself, when have you watched a bunch of them? 80% of those channels I don't even watch. They're bundled in, and I would get rid of them. Somebody's saying we're going to do a model that lets you do that. So Donald Trump is forcing ESPN to look into the crystal ball. And if they're smart, they're going to see the future and heed the warning. But I'm telling you, it is to call it uncanny is such an understatement. Donald Trump's ability to make what's the word I'm looking for? Eat away at liberalism is truly amazing, because this process is what's allowed liberalism to flourish. Look at the channels that are on cable, even things like the History Channel, and watch them, and you'll see liberalism. Watch National Geographic. Global climate change, global warming, all of it's got some leftist lean to it. And all these leftist people that are in Hollywood, they're the ones producing shows. You think you're going to watch the Weather Channel and it's going to be global warming. There's more global warming crap on these channels than there is in regular, political talk. And Trump, in his own crazy way, with this NFL thing, is bringing all of it to light. That's what's cool about it.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. Another hour of the Kevin Jackson Show. KJRadio.com, 844-551-8255 if you want to chime in. So John Boehner is back in the news. You remember that chick? Used to cry all the time? John Boehner. When I see John Boehner, I see a drunk. I do. And it's funny, friends of mine who know John Boehner really well say, man, the dude can pound him. He's a throwback. Sort of that Sinatra era, guy that, smoked and drank and, told ethnic jokes and womanized, I mean, and for the record, I don't care. I love that era. I really do. I think that when the Mad Men era, I love that time. Other than to be black, I would have loved to have been back during that time. It was fun. I mean, people just spoke. They smoked in front of each other. The women used their feminine wiles to get ahead. I mean, don't misunderstand me. I agree women need to be able to be emancipated and do whatever they want, and they shouldn't have been held back. But as an era goes, it was a fun thing to look at. When I see that time frame, and that's why I love the show Mad Men. It was like, wow, this is the way things were. And I don't wish that women could take a step back, but it was fun to watch women be real women. And seeing that struggle of how they would use men to get ahead and all that. There's something really, I don't know, voyeuristic into looking at that through the looking glass. Like, wow, look at that. I remember watching Peggy, or what was the redheaded lady that was the one who Roger was with. I forget her name. Did you guys watch Mad Men? You did? Oh man, love that show. Great show. And what was the guy? The main guy. The cool Don Draper. It's funny when you watch Mad Men and you see Don Draper. Don Draper is the guy you want to be in your life at the same time you don't. You know what I'm saying? The way that character was written, there's hardly a guy alive that didn't want to be Draper, because Draper was cool. I mean, he could come up with an idea, but bam. And it was like as smooth as, 25-year-old scotch, just. it was cool. The show is sexy. It really is. You got to watch it. If you get in a rerun, watch it. It's worth it. John Hamm, I think his name is Ham. Ham. Is it Jam, Lamb, or Ham? Anyway, he plays Draper. And when you're watching him work, you're like, God, I love the way this guy sells. But then his home life is good and bad. I mean, he's got, what's her name? Something, oh geez, I can't remember his wife. They got divorced. But anyway, she's got January Jones, I think's her name, something like that. Is she Quincy Jones's daughter? I think she is. Anyway, she plays his wife, and she's hot. She's a nice looking lady. But Draper, he's always getting mixed up with another woman, But here again, the way it happens, you're almost like, yeah, good job, Draper. And I'm not condoning, him having affairs in the show. I'm just saying you find yourself torn, because, and the other side of it is you're going, there's no reason for this guy to do that. Why is he doing it? And that's the conflict. I mean, cool show. Anyway, Boehner, when I look at Boehner, he reminds me of that time. A time when white men ruled the earth. They got ahead. You wouldn't want to be a brother back then. There was only so much you could do. But there's a part of me, honestly, that goes, I'd like to try it. I'd like to try to be that brother that gets ahead. It's the same way women were trying to get ahead. I could see him saying, we can't put a colored fellow on that account. And Draper saying, why not? We've got Kevin Jackson. Man, I would love to do it. And then I go take down like the big deal. Like I go get, the big hotel deal or the big car deal or whatever. And there's another part of it was fascinating to me, because it was like being a rep. You always went after the big line that was out there, hey, I heard Coca-Cola's looking. Really? Until you start working behind the scenes. You don't know how much money it's going to take for you to get them. I'm just telling you, I was a manufacturer's rep, and that's what would happen with us. We'd say, Samsung's looking for a new rep. They just fired so-and-so. Really? And you were hoping just to get an interview. And most of the time in the company my size, we didn't get the interview. Maybe that's what it is, that little throwback to a different time in my life when I ran a rep company. But it reminds me of that. Anyway, Boehner came out blasting everybody. I think he blasted Levin. Here's what he said. He pointed the finger at Levin. I always liked Rush. When I went to Palm Beach, I would always meet with Rush and we'd go play golf. But who was that right-wing guy, Levin? He went really crazy right and got a big audience, and he dragged Sean Hannity to the dark side. He dragged Rush to the dark side. And these guys, I used to talk to them all the time, and suddenly they're beating the living crap out of me. He used a different word. He said, I had a conversation with Hannity probably about the beginning of 2015. I called him and said, listen, you're nuts. We had this really blunt conversation. Things were better for a few months and it got back to being the same old, but I wasn't going to be a right-wing idiot. Now, this is Boehner talking about guys like me, because I'm a right-wing zealot. I'm right of Reagan. And you know why? Because that's the place to be. And here's Boehner. He's essentially disrespecting us. Who the heck is this guy to be? Well, I can tell you, he's a drunk. He's a drunk. He's that throwback. I call them anachronisms because they're stuck in a time that they believe is still relevant, but it's moved past them. They're looking at, you tell time. They're like, you give them the time. They're like, how'd you tell time? And you're like, it's on my phone. What? It's on your phone? Or you say, hey, check this out. And you show them a video on your phone and they're like, where'd you come from? Outer space, man. They don't get it. That's what Boehner is. All these guys are so detached from reality. The reality is what they remember. That's why even guys like Paul Ryan, you got to get rid of them because they can't make that transition to understand that, you know what? The world of politics has moved beyond you. If you're playing politics from a decade ago, you're old news. Barack Obama tried to play politics from a decade ago when it worked for him. When he had social media gravitas and he knew what he was doing and he was mover and a shaker. Then here's Trump coming along going, really? You think you knew social media? Watch me tweet. And he crushed him. That's what's going on with Boehner.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful 4-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville, can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. Why would John Boehner crawl out of the woodwork? Why? I mean, horrible speaker. Think about everything that we didn't get when he was in control of the House. Paul Ryan's not much better, but why now? Why is Boehner? It's almost like the left went and found him like in the gutter. He was probably sitting at some bar, trying to hit up some old crusty looking chick. And they walked in and said, hey, John Boehner, we could use you. He's like, what do you need? And he comes out. Is he anti-Trump? He's got to be. Is he worth talking about? I don't know. Hey, did you hear the story about these two women who were at sea? Two Hawaii women who say they were lost at sea on a sailboat for months, but they never activated their emergency beacon. This is according to the U.S. Coast Guard. They say this is adding this to the growing list of inconsistencies that cast doubt on their harrowing tale of survival. This reminds me of Kite Boy. You remember Kite Boy? When he supposedly, the wind took him up in a kite and the parents were like, oh my gosh, where is he? Where is he? And there's this big balloon and they had it flying around looking like OJ, on the run and this big silver looking medallion kite thing. And they go, then the media's like, could the boy be in the kite? He doesn't weigh very much. The wind has lifted him up. It appears that he's in the kite. And the boy's not even in the kite, which they call it a kite. It looked like a big obelisk. And it was an odd-shaped thing because it wasn't like it was completely puffed out in this cylindrical look. No, it was like an obelisk where it was all different, deformed. And so it's just floating through the air like a balloon that's lost its shape. And the wind is blowing in there. And I'm looking at this thing going, I don't know how much this boy weighs, but I hope it's not more than a pound because it couldn't lift the kid. But everybody, it's got to be. He's in there. He must be in there. His dad, said he was in there. Oh, my God. And his dad's like, oh, hysterical. Well, it turned out it was all contrived. Kid was, hiding in the neighbor's house. And then they come out and they're like, oh, my gosh, we found him. We love him. We miss him. Oh, what would we do without him? And you're going, oh, okay, well, good. They found Kite Boy. Then they find out it's contrived. Totally contrived. So these two women are lost at sea, a tale of survival. And the minute that I was thinking about, if you're lost at sea and you have an emergency beacon that will alert the Coast Guard to come get me at this specific location, and you don't use that beacon, come on, let's be honest. Because I was thinking, do these ladies, how well do they know each other? Are they neighbors? What do their husbands really know about them? Because this ain't Thelma and Louise here. This is Thelma and she my girlfriend. Because I don't get it. There's no reason for a book deal. You think it was a book deal? My producer's like, yeah, it could be a book deal. It could be. I mean, it's a fraudulent way to get one, but it appears that that's exactly what they were trying to shoot for, is some notoriety. The women previously told the Associated Press they had radios, sat phones, GPS, and other emergency gear, but they didn't mention the emergency position indicating radio beacon. They call it EPIRB. Coast Guard reviewed the incident and subsequent interviews with the women revealed that they had an EPIRB aboard their boat, but they never turned it on. Jennifer Apple confirmed in an interview that they had the beacon but didn't use it. She said that in her experience, it should be used only when you are in imminent physical danger and going to die in the next 24 hours. How do you know if you're going to die in the next... You know what? Shut up. I don't believe that. Let me put it to you this way. If I'm stuck in a raft or whatever kind of boat they had, and I'm with one of my boys... just like, hey, so you want to go? Yeah, let's go sailing. And we get stuck. I've got that beacon on within hours. The minute that he's like, I don't know where we're going. Well, you know how to sail? I don't know how to sail. You the one who brought me out. What? And we both panic. Blink, beacon on. I mean, because look here. I don't want to debate, do I need to eat you? I don't want to be the one that has to throw your rotten corpse over the ship or whatever we're on so the sharks can eat you. I don't want to have to run the risk of, can I eat him if he were to die? Like, is the meat rancid or how long will I survive? I don't want to have to make those turn on the beacon. And I venture to tell you, my boy would be the same way. Like, Kev, we turn on the beacon. End of story. And I'm not saying I'm soft, even though I am a little soft and cuddly these days, but I'm not. Get me back to terra firma as soon as possible, preferably the Ritz or the Waldorf, and we're good to go. 5 months these ladies were supposedly out there. I don't know if that's the case. And then she goes on to say, our hull was solid and we were floating and we had water and food. We had limited maneuverability capacity. They were in Japan. The U.S. Navy took them in after they were rescued by a Navy ship. All those things did not say we're going to die. All that said, it's going to take us a whole lot longer to get where we're going. So that's why she says, we didn't do it because we knew it was an inconvenience, but we didn't want to deploy for the wrong reason. I'm with AP. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Not I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I think these ladies are lying. Why would you do that? She's giving us the reason, but I'm saying this, whatever. I don't believe you. Come on. You got the ability to get yourself safe. How do you know what you're going to run into? A whale? 24 hours for somebody to get to. Look, if I push the beacon and they tell me it's 3 hours, that's the longest 3 hours of your life, right? It's like, I watch some of these movies where the sea is boiling. I don't know if that was the circumstances they were in. But I know what that sea can do, what the ocean can do. It can boil. And I don't want to be anywhere near it when it's boiling. And if I am, I want the Coast Guard there, man. I mean, I'm crying. They're like, Kevin, we got to fly back. It's too much. No, please. I mean, I'm begging. No. Drop the basket. If I can't get on it, then you can take off. What about you? What would you do? Have you seen, what was the movie, The Perfect Storm? Have you seen, or even better, there was a movie with Russell Crowe, Master and Commander, where they had to cut these boys off, this one kid off in the ocean boiling. I watch the Apelio crab season. What is it? The guys that go out and look for they call them fishermen, but they fish for crab. I never thought of fishermen as fishing for crab, but it's kind of the same thing. But let me tell you, you want to get out in that boat, you better have some guts. And maybe it's me. I mean, I can swim. I'm not one of these black dudes that can't swim. But see, there's swimming in your swimming pool where you can keep yourself afloat. And then there's swimming for survival, in the ocean. Very different thing. I'm just telling you, if I'm stranded in the ocean, I want you to come get me right away. Maybe it's a panic mode. Maybe it's in my DNA. I don't know. And by the way, if you're coming, bring some chicken and watermelon. Anyway, we got a lot more to talk about. Keep it here.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. We got a lot of crazy stuff in the news. For example, when I say crazy, I mean there's a ton of stuff. And for us to get to it, I'm going to have to speed it up here. This show has just flown by. For example, this is a story. This one really got... So there's a Virginia governor's race, replacing McAuliffe, who's a waste of space. And the Republican has surged in the race. So the Democrats got desperate. And here's the ad that they ran. It's not the ad. It's actually Tucker Carlson discussing the ad with a woman on his program. And this I could cover for so long because this is typical of what the left does. They invoke racism in the South, Virginia. And this particular commercial, they play it, it's playing as Tucker's explaining to her what's going on. But their excuse for this is truly unforgivable. This is the type of thing that tells you why the left are going to have so much trouble winning elections going forward, and how you cannot heal this nation with people like them. So here's Tucker discussing it.
Defending an ad that has a racist driving a truck with an Ed Gillespie sticker on it trying to murder children, and you're defending it by saying Ed Gillespie is running an ad that makes people fearful? I mean, I don't think there's ever been an ad like the one we just watched. Have you ever seen anything like that?
I think we're living in an era we've never lived in before. I think what's unique about the last year is that a lot of people are coming forward with statements that used to just be dog whistles are now overt racist
But
statements.
what is that? If that's not
based on an actual event that happened.
What did Ed Gillespie have to do with that event?
Well, I don't know what he had to do with the event necessarily.
Well, why are you tying him to it?
Because he's creating a racist environment where people are feeling emboldened. He's never disavowed President Trump saying, in the heels of the Charlotte riots, that there are good people on both sides.
Well, I
never
haven't disavowed it either.
That.
Does that make me? It's not mine to disavow. I didn't say it.
It's not yours to disavow.
Does that make me a Klansman?
When he's running for governor of Virginia.
Disavow it? I mean, what? So refusing to disavow, whatever that means, something that somebody else said now makes you morally equivalent to what you say the first person is? Like, this is insane.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. Tucker's 100% right. This is wrong on so many levels that it really makes me mad. And it should make anybody that's depicted in this commercial. What it is it's a guy in a truck, in a vehicle. I don't know if it's a truck. And he's got an Ed Gillespie sticker on his back. And he's running down minority people. He's running down minority kids. So you see a black kid take off running and then stopping like whoa. And then the next thing you see a little Mexican kid and he runs. And what's funny is she says, well, we're living in a different time, a time of overt racism. Well, the overt racism is from the left. By the way, I don't know if you guys saw a former guy who worked for Reagan came out and said that racism exists on the Republican side of the aisle. Really, it pissed me off. I'm so sick of this. I mean, this is why I fight so hard, to be honest with you. Because I so want, when the world turns and the left are seen as the racists, I'm going to make a promise to you. I will stop what I'm doing. I will stop. That's how much I want it to stop. I'll stop. When finally people go, nope. I'm talking about when leftists start going, nah, for years, I thought the other side were racist. It was really our side. That's why I switched. When that happens, I'm done. I will leave. I'll go gainful employment. I mean, I think this is gainful, but I'll go figure out something else to do. I'll write more books. Maybe I'll become a professor. But anyway, this overt racism she talks about. And then what's funny is she says, and this is what's so condemning. She doesn't even realize how condemning this statement is. She says, this was based on an actual event. And see, this is where I differ with, and I love Tucker's a great guy. He's not only a great guy for Fox, he's a good person. But this is where I get upset with Tucker and Hannity and some of these guys. Tucker's comment should have been, really? So when this event occurred, did Ed Gillespie's bumper sticker, was it on somebody's car? I'm just curious. See, she's trying to take an event tied to Ed Gillespie. Tucker does a great job of saying, well, what does that have to do with him? He didn't do it. Well, he didn't condemn it. Okay, well, and Tucker rightfully said, it's not his job to condemn it. Did Barack Obama come out with every racist statement that's made by black people? Is it necessary for Barack Obama to come out and go, I condemn that statement? How about enough with his own actions to say, look, I don't make racist statements. I think it's silly that people believe in racism. But I'll tell you this, I'm not going to apologize because somebody else says something. In fact, that's their First Amendment right. They can say whatever they want. Doesn't make it mean that I condone it. But I don't feel that way. That's enough. But they wanted guilt by association. Ed Gillespie had nothing to do with that event. He wasn't running for governor during that event. Why is his bumper sticker on the vehicle? That was the golden question. Now look, it's easy to backseat drive from here. I've been in that position. You're on TV. You got a certain amount of time, a limited amount of time. The thing I don't like about being a guest is they're directing the flow and you're sitting there going, I only got 45 seconds. That's it. Look at my interviews. They don't last very long. The segment may be 5 minutes, but between the host, wanting to get their pound of flesh, sometimes running a video, which is what Tucker ran in this particular piece, and then they start with one, then come to you, then go to the other, then come back to you. You're lucky if you get a minute and a half to speak. Lucky. So I get it. But when you're the host and she says something like that, well, that actually happened. You got to be quick on your feet to say, well, you know what? That incident may have happened, but something tells me that Ed Gillespie's bumper sticker wasn't on the car. Am I right or am I wrong? That's what. Now, look, I'm hosting Fox and Friends, co-hosting on the 4th and the 5th. So I'll get my opportunity to see what I'm able to accomplish on the show. But I got to tell you, that interview is infuriating. Because Ed Gillespie, a Republican, is winning, the Democrats pull out the race card. Here's the problem. Here's the good news, bad news. The bad news is they did it. The bad news is Democrats believe they can use blacks and Hispanics and trot us out for some racial incident every time they're getting their butts kicked on policy issues. See, Ed Gillespie's going to win. He's going to win because he's probably the right candidate for the job. I don't know what his stance is on different things, but here's what I do know. I know what the left stands for, and they're giving us an example by what they're doing currently. This whole thing, by trotting out racism and trying to blame Gillespie. I don't know Gillespie from Adam. Wouldn't know him if he walked up and petted my dog. But what I will tell you is, I can guarantee you he's not responsible for any racism that's happening in that area, and he's probably a pretty good guy. He's probably a guy that just wants to do the best for Virginia, and as much as he may be partisan in the sense of the Republicans, what Republicans want is what's best for everybody. That's a fact. I think liberals are the most boneheaded people on the planet. I do. And there are many times I think to myself, we'd be better off without them. But we have them. So you know what? Policies should help them as well. Because my thought process is, if they get enough help, they might just go, this isn't too bad. These guys aren't nearly the ogres that I've proclaimed them to be. But they don't do that. They don't learn from their mistakes. Right now, well, I say that, and then Bryan Cranston came out and he says, I say to anybody who wishes that Donald Trump fails, F you. Now, Bryan Cranston, if you don't know him, you're asleep at the wheel. Breaking Bad. He's been Malcolm in the Middle. He's the hapless father in a lot of films. Was a dyed-in-the-wool, I hate Trump, I'm voting for Hillary guy. In fact, he said if Trump is elected, he was leaving the country. He was one of those. And suddenly, he's done a mea culpa. Now, the reason I bring this up, and I know I'm shifting gears a little bit here, because we were talking about this racist commercial that got run. But the reason why I'm telling you this is yet another Hollywood person who was dyed in the wool for Hillary. And suddenly, we get a switch. The Democrats owned the Virginia. They stacked the deck with Terry McAuliffe's people, and should have an easy go of it in getting another Democrat elected to the Virginia governorship. They're going to lose it. Hollywood, an anti-Trump, I'm talking about I hate Trump, I love Hillary, support Hillary, I'll leave the country if Trump is elected, is now telling other people, F you if you want to see Donald Trump fail. And he goes on to explain why. Let me tell you what's happening, people. These are signs that you got to pay attention to. These are the little things that come up that mean something. Bryan Cranston didn't come to this like wake up in the middle of the night and go, you know what? Now I'm going to suddenly support Donald Trump. Something has happened to change a guy who could not stand Donald Trump to telling people, F you if you try to go against it.
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
You all saw today that President Donald Trump was correct. There is no evidence that Mr. Manafort or the Trump campaign colluded with the Russian government. Mr. Manafort represented pro-European Union campaigns for the Ukrainian. And in that, he was seeking to further democracy and to help the Ukraine come closer to the United States and the EU. Those activities ended in 2014, over 2 years before Mr. Manafort served in the Trump campaign. Today, you see an indictment brought by an Office of Special Counsel that is using a very novel theory to prosecute Mr. Manafort regarding a FARA filing. The United States government has only used that offense 6 times since 1966 and only resulted in 1 conviction. The second thing about this indictment that I myself find most ridiculous is a claim that maintaining offshore accounts to bring all your funds into the United States as a scheme to conceal from the United States government is ridiculous. Thank you.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. Manafort's attorney striking back, swinging back, hitting hard. Glad you're with me today. Look, I got to tell you, I watched this guy do this press conference. I don't think Manafort's going to get convicted of anything. I really don't. I think Mueller needed some time to try to figure out a way out of this, try to make some other connections. I know everybody's talking about this guy, Papadopoulos, and I chuckle at it because nobody knew this guy's name a month ago. I said this earlier in the broadcast. I didn't know who Papadopoulos was. You want to know why? Because he's low level. If you're going to connect Donald Trump to some, nefarious scheme to get himself elected, number one, why would he choose the Russians? And two, why is he worried about that? He's running against Hillary. But, this concept that he's in collusion, they tried to get Donald Trump Jr. He said, yeah, I took a meeting. And then he released all of his emails and said, here they are. Go through them. You can see exactly what I did. What happened? Is he being indicted? No. All his information is up front. What did Hillary Clinton do? Bleach bit, hammering disc, and everything else. It's so ridiculous to watch this. I think Manafort's going to get out of it. I think what they needed is they needed a name right away. Manafort was already ready. He's there for the asking. Did he do stuff to violate the, because he's supposed to register as a foreign agent. It's like Foreign Agent Registration Act is what they were referring to, the FARA. So did he not do that? Did money offshore? That's not illegal. It's like Mueller's grasping for straws. And this low-level guy, what's funny, I don't know what he admitted to. I've seen lots of reports, and I'm going, what's he admitted to? That he had meetings with the Russians? What? Okay, fine. What's funny about the indictment, none of it involves Trump. I had meetings with the Russians. About what? I don't know. I was trying to bring in Stoli vodka cheaper or something. This is going to backfire so bad on them, so badly. I want to go back to Podesta. We talked a little bit about him because Tony, John's brother, and it was funny. There's a picture of Podesta with his artwork, Tony Podesta, and the tweet was, somebody ought to have a special counsel on Podesta's artwork. It's bizarre. It's bizarre art. It's like it's nudes with people with their arms tied up. It's really bizarre. It points back to John Podesta being part of this, I don't know what they call it, the soup thing, where these guys would get with young kids and try to have sex and all. It's so morbid and bizarre. Look, nothing surprises me about the left. Being honest with you, I hate talking about it. I think it makes many of us uncomfortable because I'm sitting there going, half the things that these people get accused of, I would never think of if you gave me 50 lifetimes, I would never think of this crap. Oh my gosh. Spirit cooking. That's what it was, right? Spirit cooking? Which had something to do with a pedophile ring. And the more, look, I remember when that story came out, I didn't cover it. I was like, no, that's Alex Jones, right? I wasn't going to cover it. And the more that you learn about the left, the more you go, boy, Alex Jones is probably right. Somebody was telling me about this. Man, Kevin, you don't want to become like Alex Jones. I went, what? Right about all the conspiracies? Alex is nailing it. I don't know where he's getting this information because here's the way I might start doing things. I might just start going, let's just make up the craziest story that we could think of about the left and then float it out there. And then we'll go Google it and see if it's there. And it'll be there. Go do it. Try it. Make up something silly. And you Google it and it'll be Hillary Clinton and Podesta and Hillary blah, 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 Bill and Epstein. And you're going, wow, I was just joking. It's crazy. How do you become a Financial Times 50 heavy lifters? You know what Financial Times is? That's a pretty substantial magazine. How do you become one of Washington's biggest players, named such by the New York Times? Are you wondering, who am I talking about? I'm talking about Tony Podesta. He was 50 heavy lifters in the Financial Times. He was named Washington's biggest players, one of Washington's biggest players by the New York Times. And the way you do that is you befriend the Clintons. Do that and your organization can grow from obscurity to prominence in one election cycle. I'll give you a good example. The Russian company that got millions and millions of dollars by way of this uranium deal was a shell company. It was only there to hold, it was a holding place. Bill Clinton goes over to one of the stands, like Kazakhstan or whatever, meets with the president of that company, goes back, meets with the guy who owned what was the shell company of Uranium One, and that guy makes a $31 million donation to Bill Clinton. A deal got done that gave the uranium production of Kyrgyzstan or Kazakhstan to this particular company, and they were in business. That's what it took. So Bill Clinton gets $31 million with the promise of $100 million more, along with the other donations that ended up totaling $145 million. And it was for a company that only existed on paper that could write a check within a month for $31 million with a promise of another $100 million that eventually came. That's how you do it. And Podesta brokered the deal. They got a smaller cut. The Russians only gave them $20 million, if I'm not mistaken. That's what John netted out of the thing. Just telling you, folks, that's the way things happen in D.C. We're sitting out here. Look, take the average American and say, come up with $10,000 to ransom your kid. And that family would have to tell you, you got to shoot him. You got to kill him. I can't come up with the money. That money is spent on cocktails and one night in D.C. These people are so drunk with the money, it makes no sense. We are in the trillions in this government's budget. And so you see the Clintons who have, I think their net worth is now around $200 million, and it still isn't enough for them. $200 million, folks. That's 8 zeros. It's not enough. They came from nothing. $200 million. Podesta's company last year, they did 6.1 million in the third quarter of 2016, estimated 4.1 million this year. So they're losing money, and they're going to lose more. But they're a $25 million company that produces nothing. Nothing. They have no product. They push paper. This year, they'll be close to 20 million. Last year, at 6.1 million, almost 25 million. Doing nothing. Year after year. Getting awards, 50 heavy lifters, Washington's biggest players. The Crooked Clinton Foundation, get this. In 2014, $172 million is what they brought in. That's not a great year for them. $172 million. In 2015, they brought in $108 million. It was down 37%. But that's still not chump change. And they're still bringing in money. Oh, they're losing people now. But they're still viable.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.